equipment and auto finance industry are facing some of the biggest challenges in its history. While legislation is a key driver, I want to consider the headwinds the industry is facing. I will be giving some insights into the effects three major factors are having. The first is ESG, environmental and social governance. On the one hand, this is driving equipment and auto finance firms to fund more eco-friendly assets, and on the other, their customers, both consumers and businesses alike, have their own requirements. I mentioned legislation, and government initiatives in an increasing number of countries are introducing tax penalties for assets that don't come up to a certain criterion. While funders will need to address their own ESG goals, they will also need to consider and work with everyone in the supply chain, their customers, their suppliers and partners. This will introduce its own challenges while ensuring margins are maintained. The second one I want to call out is servitization, better known as subscription and pay-per-use. There's nothing new about this. Xerox, for example, have been offering customers a chance to pay per sheet of paper when they lease photocopiers. Instead of leasing, the rental option that servitization offers means you only pay for what you use. I'm seeing some very interesting pay-per-use models being offered in the equipment financing sector, by the number of miles, by the number of hours, are ones that probably immediately spring to mind. But what about by the tonnage of earth excavated? Moving from the traditional ownership model, which the asset finance industry has based their pricing on, to a usage model is a massive change. No longer will finance companies be able to, term often used, fund and forget, as is the case with managing credit risk. They will now need to evaluate and manage utilization risk to find enough users to generate revenue over the lifetime of the asset. Most funders are not set up to meet this challenge. It requires a deep look into your organization, your people, your processes, your systems. The third is the technology that enables assets to be connected, the Internet of Things. Put another way, this is about harvesting data for actionable insights and should be an opportunity and not a threat. However, the big question is, who has access to the data? Manufacturers often guard this. Data is the new gold. And why shouldn't they keep this to themselves? This is where the captives will potentially have an advantage over the banks and independents. But as the owner of the asset, both banks and independents are actually entitled to certain data. We'll be interested to see how this plays out as we see the move to usage-based pricing, where data will be key to managing utilization risk. I will leave you with a final thought. Asset finance funders across the board, if they aren't already, need to make time and plan for the day after tomorrow while dealing with the business of today. The world is facing challenges it has never faced before. The rate of change across all areas of life and businesses is accelerating by the day. And the equipment and auto finance industry need to get out of their comfort zone and embrace these changes. Otherwise, it stands the risk of being left behind and opening the doors to others. And we all know who they potentially are.